Welcome to the Episode 2 summary of the Ulysses Unlocked podcast, where we analyze Ulysses by James Joyce one page at a time. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment to support us. So today, we're going to do something that, well, it might sound a little crazy. We're going to unpack an entire world of meaning, all from a single page of James Joyce's famously tough novel, Ulysses.
All right, let's just jump right in, shall we? With probably one of the most jarring and, let's be honest, bizarre lines from the page we're looking at. The snotgreen sea, the scrotum-tightening sea. I mean, wow, what on earth is going on here? Snotgreen? Really? And then this bit of ancient Greek just gets tacked on at the end. But here's the thing. This isn't just Joyce being weird for the sake of it. No way. These are clues, carefully placed breadcrumbs. And today, we're going to follow them.
Okay, so let's set the stage. The puzzle begins with a morning at the tower.
So picture this. We're in a seaside tower near Dublin. 3 young guys are just starting their day. You've got the loud, larger-than-life Buck Mulligan, the moody, quiet artist Stephen Dedalus, and an Englishman, a guy named Haines, who's visiting. But trust me, this is not your ordinary morning chat. The language is so dense, the references are flying everywhere, it's like Joyce handed us a puzzle box. And you know what? We're going to solve it together, one piece at a time.
All right, first stop in our investigation, the meaning in a name. So Mulligan himself points it out. He basically says, yeah, my name's kind of goofy. But then, boom, he immediately tries to elevate it, right? He connects it to ancient Greece, giving it this Hellenic ring. You can just feel him crafting this persona for himself. But what he doesn't say is that there's so much more packed into that name, Malachi, than just how it sounds.
And check this out. This annotation just peels back the layers. You can see right here how much Joyce is cramming into just one single word. It's not just one thing, it's like 3 different really important historical figures all rolled into one.
So let's break this down. In this one name, Malachi, you've got a Hebrew prophet, a legendary High King of Ireland, and an Irish saint. Think about that combo. Prophecy, royalty, religion, it's all there. Joyce is basically telling us from the get-go that Mulligan is this huge, complicated, maybe even phony prophet type of character. He's a guy who thinks he's a very big deal.
And it's not just him. Joyce does this with everything. The Englishman, Haines, his name is basically a pun on the French word for hate. Yeah, that's a pretty big clue about his character, right? And even a tiny word like scutter, which Mulligan yells while he's rummaging in his pockets, it gives you this sense of frantic, almost bug-like energy. It's like every single word is a deliberate brushstroke, painting this incredibly detailed picture for us. Okay, next clue. Let's dig into Mulligan's obsession with all things Greek. So he's standing there, looking out at the sea, and he just bellows this out. Thalata! Thalata! Sounds super dramatic, super impressive. But what is he even saying? And where did he get that from? Well, once again, the annotations give us the answer. He's not just making this up to sound smart. He's actually quoting a very specific and very famous ancient Greek text, a book called Anabasis by a guy named Xenophon. And the story behind this quote, it's absolutely epic. It means, the sea! The sea! And it was the cry of 10,000 Greek soldiers. I mean, these guys were mercenaries. They were betrayed, trapped deep inside the Persian Empire, and they had to fight their way out through hundreds of miles of enemy territory. Can you imagine? When they finally crested a hill and saw the Black Sea, it meant they were saved. It meant they were home. So when Buck Mulligan shouts this from a tower in Dublin, he's basically comparing his morning routine to this legendary life-or-death military campaign. The ego on this guy, right?
But here's the thing about Mulligan. All that classical knowledge, it has a dark side. He doesn't just use it to puff himself up, he uses it as a weapon. And that brings us to maybe the most famous phrase on the whole page, the snotgreen insult.
He actually says this while holding up Stephen's dirty handkerchief. It's so gross, so sarcastic, just a really cruel thing to say. But the real question is, who's he really taking a shot at here? 'Cause it's not just poor Stephen.
Nope. His real target is this massive artistic movement sweeping Ireland at the time called the Irish Literary Revival. You had all these big-name writers like W.B. Yeats trying to create a new kind of Irish literature. You know, one that wasn't just a copy of English culture. They were digging into old Irish myths and folklore. And Joyce, well, Joyce had some complicated feelings about the whole thing, and he uses Mulligan as a mouthpiece for his sharpest critiques.
And this is where it all comes together. It's brilliant, actually. Remember that Greek phrase from the very beginning, EPI OINOPA PONTON? That's from Homer's Odyssey. It means, upon the wine-dark sea. It's one of the most famous, most beautiful descriptions of the ocean in all of literature. So what does Mulligan do? He takes that epic, gorgeous ideal and twists it into the snotgreen sea. It's his way of saying that all this romantic Irish poetry is just gross, that it's crude and pathetic compared to the classics.
Okay, one last clue to uncover on this page. And this one is a deep dive into philosophy. It's Nietzsche at the Tower.
Yeah, so at one point Mulligan is talking about how Stephen refused to pray for his own dying mother, and he says, I'm Hyperborean as much as you. Hyperborean? I mean, what does that even mean? It's such a weird word to just drop into a conversation.
Wow, would you look at that? The annotation connects it for us, and it's not another Greek thing. No, this time it's the German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. Joyce is casually dropping one of the biggest names in modern philosophy right into this chat on a tower top.
So here's the deal. For Nietzsche, a Hyperborean was his code word for the Übermensch, the Superman. We're talking about someone who lives above the normal rules of society, beyond good and evil, someone who isn't tied down by religion or tradition, who basically makes up their own moral code. So when Mulligan calls both himself and Stephen Hyperborean, he's trying to frame what they're doing, rebelling against everything, as this noble philosophical choice, not just them being arrogant young punks.
So, we've dug into names, Greek quotes, nasty insults, even German philosophy. After all that, what's the takeaway? Why does any of this matter? Well, it turns out we've learned a ton. From just one page, we get a crystal clear picture of Buck Mulligan. He's smart, he's funny, he's cruel, and he sees himself as some kind of Nietzschean Superman. We can feel the tension simmering between him and the quiet, brooding Stephen. We're also seeing the huge themes of the entire novel laid out right in front of us. Ireland's relationship with England, its struggle for a cultural identity, all of it. But maybe most importantly, we get to see Joyce's technique up close. Every single word is packed with meaning. Which just leaves you wondering, right? If a single page can hold this much, what on earth is hiding in the rest of the book? Seriously, why is Mulligan so relentlessly cruel to Stephen? What's the deal with that Black Panther Haines was dreaming about? And maybe the biggest question of all, is Stephen ever going to escape this tower, escape these people who are just sucking the life out of him?
Well, if you want a more detailed analysis, that's exactly what we do on the Ulysses Unlocked podcast, where we analyze Ulysses by James Joyce in detail, one page at a time. Joyce plants all these incredible seeds of mystery right from the very beginning. Thanks so much for joining me for this deep dive.